Senator Kretak finds the chairs on Deep Space Nine to be very uncomfortable. Joseph Sisko is taking his gumbo recipe to his grave. And Jake Sisko shows off his potato sack fighting skills. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello, hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk. Today we're doing a review of Deep Space Nine, Season 7, Episode 1, Image in the Sand, written by Ira Steven Behr and Hans Beimler, directed by Cirroc's buddy, Les Landau.
Yes.
This was September 30th, 1998. Where were you? Also, this is a Nog episode. Malissa Longo is joining us today.
Hiya!
Yay!
You guys, we did it.
Hiya!
It is
Season 7.
Oh, what?
I know. It's like bittersweet.
I know. Yeah.
I'm scared. I don't want the game to end, they say.
Same.
Yeah. That's what it feels like.
How you guys doing?
Doing good.
All right.
Oh, yeah. It was good to get a little reminder about the last episode and
Yes,
how
we
we
needed
ended
it.
on Dax. Yeah. It's just refreshed it and just made you kind of place mark yourself emotionally where the tone is on DS9 that she has just passed away. And I think they did a good job of picking up on that tone and paying homage to her as they kind of put closure to her character.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of remembered this as a Jadzia Dax. I'm sorry, as an Ezri Dax kind of episode because it's her first one back. But then upon rethinking it, you realize it's not at all an Ezri Dax episode. Mm-hmm. The next episode will be an Ezri Dax. This is, like you say, much more of a Jadzia Dax episode. Mm-hmm. I hope Terry Farrell has seen this episode because it's almost like she's the main character of this episode in a lot of ways. And it's really cool to see how she affects everyone and everything in the storyline and all that. It's really cool. Good homage to her.
That's a very good question. Yeah. I wonder if she has seen this episode and seen kind of the tribute that they make to her, or if she just walked away and said, hey, you guys did me dirty and I'm out of here, so I don't care what happens after this. But but I think they did a good job of putting closure to her character, her storyline, giving some a way forward for Worf to move on and kind of settle his grievances and his emotional journey.
Yeah.
It was. I think it's a very well written episode, and it was a good start for this 7th season.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yeah, and I was trying to remember how much time has elapsed, and they did tell us it's 3 months. So basically, it was like summer vacation, like you come back from summer break and they're like, what do you know? 3 months have passed right on cue. Sometimes they're like 2 years have passed or it's the very next day or whatever. But this is like real time.
Yeah. And I like that because it felt effective and truthful to the journey of the characters and their grief on Deep Space Nine. And everybody who is feeling the weight of the loss of Jadzia. Yeah,
they kind of did her better in this episode than she did for her actual death. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they gave her a better tribute when they came back, and they're like, maybe we should have given her a little bit more. Let's do her right in this episode.
Yeah.
There was a line in there that kind of picked up on, and I thought it was well placed. It was a line that said, they said, well, she doesn't get to the other side because, the Klingon version of heaven, essentially, I forgot the name of what it's called. Stovokor.
Yeah.
Okay, like that's where Skeletor came from. Okay,
right.
No, anyways.
There we go. What's his name? Kendor? Keldor. That's Skeletor's real name. Keldor.
Yeah. So Sto-vo-kor, and so they go through this whole, litany about why she's not qualified to get in there. And one of the reasons was, she didn't die in a glorious battle or something to that effect. And then Quark, I thought, gave a great kind of line, like, what, getting killed by the paw race doesn't count? Like,
seriously, there is no higher death than that. A god possessed a top arch villain and killed you while you were praying to the prophets or whatever, or like, what higher death from a higher power is that? She didn't get stabbed in the heart?
It wasn't a Klingon god. That would have been different.
Maybe, yeah. And she didn't really get a chance to put up a fight. So there should be a clause for sucker punches,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't sucker punch somebody and then they don't get a chance to defend themselves, and then there should be a clause for sucker punches.
Yeah, because if you get killed and you don't get a chance to fight back in glorious battle, then what they can say is, well, has she killed 10 others in glorious battle? Yes. All right. Well, then that's a good clause right there.
Yeah. Look at her other glorious battles that she was victorious in.
Exactly.
Right. So Cirroc,
worthy.
Got to ask you, what do you remember about shooting this episode? Because there were a lot of Jake and Joseph and Captain Sisko moments, and they were all many of them were close, like just the three of you or just the two of you. Do you remember any of that shooting, or is it still kind of in the blur of the 90s?
No, I do remember that shooting, and that's what I remember about it, that it was done inside of that Creole kitchen, and a lot of that stuff was done, either in the alleyway or in the restaurant itself. And there's always a different kind of energy when you're not in the usual station setting. So regardless of if it's the baseball field or if you're out in the canyons or wherever you are, there's a slightly different energy because you feel like you get a chance to showcase with a different background, and that allows you to kind of show different flavors of your performance. It allows you to go different places and not kind of react to the surroundings. So it adds subtle little nuances to the performance between the actors, and I think it feels very good watching this episode. I felt really comfortable, and I felt warm inside of that that place, and it felt like a family. Even the arguments that families have. Yeah, I'm not talking about that. Like that felt real to me.
Was it shot at Paramount still, or was there an actual restaurant set?
No, this was at Paramount.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they built that up.
They built the set. They built the alley.
When you said, warmth, Melissa and I were both like, yes, because this is the feeling I get when I watch this. Like, I got it in all caps, even though I knew you're still not prepared. As soon as it shows Joseph Sisko, I get like this warmth and this comfort, something familial, like a place, that I love, that I've never been to, or when we just see, his kitchen, his Creole kitchen. But when I see that, as soon as I see that, I'm like, oh my God, my heart, Joseph Sisko. And then all those scenes, there's such comfort and warmth in those. And that's a feeling I've never gotten from any other Star Trek series, or maybe any other series of television ever. And I don't really know where it comes from or what it is. And I didn't feel it initially, back in the 90s or 2000s. But now when I watch it, it's just like, it feels like it's not my home, but it's somebody's home. And it definitely feels like it, right? It's just such a great family feeling.
Yeah, there's definitely a level of coziness and safety, and it's no surprise to me that Ben would go here to decompress. This is where he would go to get his mind right again. because this is his touchstone. This is where, he knows where he's most grounded. And Jake and Joseph are a huge part of that grounding and essential in that grounding, because they are part of that comfort too, at home.
Yeah. And then, just being around people that care about you and love you that much and have that much concern, you can sense that in the beginning when they're, Jake's talking about, it's been 3 months already, and Joseph's like, yeah, I'm worried about him too, but, let him do his thing. And so those are the kinds of conversations that families do have when they're concerned about, one of their own, and what to do about it and how to approach and what's the best way to, give consultation or whatnot. But I definitely felt the warmth of that place. I think it's the whole, I feel like I want to order some food.
Yes. I want to eat there
stay
too.
a little too long.
Yes.
Right. It's like crawfish and touffee. That's the shrimp creole. The jambalaya is popping. And I'm just thinking, oh yeah, I'll take anything, whatever you want. Just bring it over here. Fresh clams,
You know what else it is for me?
What's for dessert?
Right.
I'll tell you what else it is for me is that it feels like I could watch an entire episode or 2 or 3 of just that location. And usually when you're going to somebody's place or you're on some planet or whatever, it's just a scene that's necessary for the story. And you're like, okay, cool. And then you look at the background, you pay attention, whatever. But in this, I could honestly watch 2 episodes, like a 2-part episode of just that, and would never be like, oh boy, it's this episode again where there's no Klingon battles or disruptor fire. I could watch just the 3 of them, and with the occasional visitors, there's the scenes out in the alleyway, there's the scenes in the kitchen, there's the scenes in the home, there's the scenes in the dining room. It's so good.
Especially like if you add, because we've seen Nog in the establishment before.
Yeah.
But if we saw Nog like getting put to work by Joseph Sisko, he throws an apron at him.
Yeah.
He throws an apron at him and says the dishes aren't going to clean themselves or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you see Nog like looking, and Sisko's like, "That's an order" or something.
Yeah, he says,
could be a whole...
Cisco says, "I'll get you a box to stand on." It's like, how am I supposed to wash these dishes? They're all tall, man.
But I have a feeling that Nog would offer to help too.
Yeah.
Just because he's kind of part of the family.
Totally.
Already. So, and him being there every day for, Toop Grubs during his time during the academy it says a lot. So I think he would offer to help out, especially with his experience at Quark's.
I would love to see Nog being a waiter at the Creole kitchen. Just like for one episode, and giving all the customers complaining about their, what do you mean that's not hot? And eating the food, but giving it back to them.
Spin-off. Should have been a spin-off, man.
Chasing somebody down because they didn't leave a tip, Hey, you forgot to leave a tip. What's wrong with you?
No, the academy years.
Yeah. Joseph's Creole Kitchen series.
Yeah.
But Cirroc, what else I was thinking is, I don't think I've ever asked you what was, and I'm blanking on his name right now, the actor that played Joseph, Brock Peters, right? What was Brock Peters like in real life or on set?
Brock Peters is a true professional. He is a immensely talented actor who has been doing film since before they had color, right? Since black and white television and movies. So his resume is extremely long. It's because of people like Brock Peters, Sidney Poitier, who paved the way for Black actors in general to be having a voice and a place in the industry. And it was them who endured some of the early hardships and overcame and made successful, good product. So when Brock Peters arrived to the set, a lot of Avery's focus was making sure people were aware of the kind of career that Brock Peters had and to treat him with the kind of respect accordingly. So
top respect.
That was, that was one of the main things that Avery insisted upon. And Brock was just a consummate professional, very, very eloquent and personable. And as you can see, he's basically like the Joseph Sisko character. He is essentially what you're seeing in Sisko. So that's who he is.
He just feels so old school, the way he talks. And it might just be because of the history that we already know he has, and the fact that many of us, like I remember watching, watching him as a kid and then making the connection later on, much later in Deep Space Nine. I was like, oh, holy shit. I get it. I know who this dude is. But maybe that's why he feels so old school. But there's something about him that just feels historic. Like you're watching history, if that makes sense, because he just has, he reminds us of the old days. He's so old school.
Yeah, he's old school. And, he just brought a lot to that character because he was able to, which is a difficult thing, to seem like a, somebody who can tell a person like Avery, who has a very strong personality and is very, a tough person, to be able to tell him, like a father would. And it's very few people that would be able to convey that kind of energy that
convincingly
that would be able to shut down somebody like Avery, who's naturally an overpowering kind of spirit. So it takes somebody who has that kind of bravado and that kind of presence to be able to convince us that he's able to, tell this man to be quiet and he would listen, for example, right?
His eye contact.
Right.
Like he didn't waver in the shadow of a giant like Avery Brooks, like I myself, I try to think like, would I be able to walk up to Avery Brooks and they go action and me say, all right, you better calm down, and they'd be like, shut up, he's not going to listen to you. But this guy has that weight and nailed it.
And he's also got a certain kind of, and to harken back to what Ryan said, old school grace and class. And there's a different way of carriage to him, the way he carries himself and the way he speaks, and it's nice. And it lends itself to that comfort and homeschool, not homeschool, or maybe, I don't know, homegrown. I don't know.
Down home feeling,
the place where you can be yourself and make the mistakes and know that the person who runs this establishment is going to be okay with it because he's got your back. He always has. And
he has that the ability to really convey this authority and project the authority. He reminds me of the kind of dad that would say to his son, you might be big, but I'll still kick your ass.
Yeah, totally. Like, no matter how old they get. He's got that feel of I've been there, I've done that, I've seen some shit, man. Like he's one of those guys where you're like, there's just no questioning him. Which, of course, Jake Sisko also conveyed when he knocked out some evil Bajoran with a sack of potatoes or sack of flour or whatever that was.
I was gonna say, yeah, take that, you power rape cult dude.
I looked at that like 3 times. Even after you did it, you felt like you were gonna let out a growl, like, yeah. I've been wanting a chance to knock someone out, cooped up in this place for 100 days.
I was thinking to myself while I was watching it, I was like, you know, a sack of potatoes is not the first thing I'm going to pick up in a restaurant. There's like all type of frying pans laying around and
kitchen knives.
Kitchen knives.
Decapitate.
Well, maybe that's
rollers.
yes, but maybe you were passing by or going to say something, and that's what you had at the time.
Yeah,
so
or I
you
was
were
probably
just
bringing it outside or something. Yeah,
Or-
like
yeah.
an electric egg beater, something.
take that.
He's like, "Ah."
Right?
That would be funny.
Or a pot of boiling water, you know.
Oh,
Like, you,
no, I don't want to
I
see
know. All of a
that.
sudden, Melissa and I were like talking kitchen knives, egg, but we're like, whoa, we draw the line at water
that's
burns,
too far,
buddy.
Paul. That's too far.
Yeah,
No,
don't burn him with
The
water.
bubbling.
But I'm just thinking,
Oh,
how much stuff is inside of a restaurant, right? I mean, literally, there's
Especially
so much.
kitchen.
Yeah, the last thing I'm going to do is pick up a sack of potatoes, like when I'm trying to grab some. But I understand the logic that I might have been holding it already, or I might have been taking it. But if I had to pick, if there was time and I saw what's going on
there was
outside.
time.
If there was time, I'm going to be like, I'll be looking around, like, yeah, let me get this frying pan and this kitchen knife.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, we have seen Jake be resourceful before when he was picked up somebody's rifle in the cave
Right.
and shot at Klingons.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I have no
Okay.
doubt he would be resourceful in the kitchen. But
Okay. Well, we'll definitely have to ask the writers next
time.
time we see Ira. We'll have to be like, so
Sure.
why the potato sack? And he'll be like, actually, that was a sack of flour. And we'll say, oh, okay.
okay.
But why
And
that?
I did notice this time it was clams
Yes.
that he was
They
cleaning.
even said clams. Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
said it. Yeah.
In case we
Yeah, I
wondered
just-
if there was oysters.
I was like, wow. Yeah.
But good job. You saved your dad.
It was kind of gruesome, all that blood. I think using the stabbing, because usually in we're used to seeing more like phaser fire and stuff like that, and it's kind of just like a burn on your clothes or something. But that was a lot of blood. It looked like a stabbing,
Yeah.
in a very sensitive region of your body. It was just leaking
Well,
out. And,
any part of your body that you get sliced that hard is pretty sensitive.
yeah.
You're like, that's cool. It was on my back. Whatever. No,
Yeah,
but
that's
I
true.
agree. It was a
Yeah,
big,
like-
open, gaping wound.
Yeah.
And it was like
Yeah.
There was several
significant.
cuts, right? It was not just one. I thought it was several stabs. It wasn't just one, and from what I saw, I think, and it looked like a lot of blood, which would freak me out if I came out and saw that. It's a real bloody scene, and he's wearing that all white, so it added to the effect.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
and I
that's
was
all white,
thinking,
though.
good thing that you were passing by when you did, because that
Yeah.
could have been fatal.
Mhm.
Right.
But now that we're in the future and you caught it.
And did you notice
immediately.
in that moment there was a great, Avery's so fantastic, and it's like he does so many things that are so subtle that kind of fly right by you, and unless you really kind of say, "Hey, what was that? Did I just see that?"
Yeah.
You won't really pay attention. But he has very good subtle things that he does in his performances, and one of them, for example, in this particular scene, was when the Bajoran crazy psycho guy comes up. You can sense that he has fear, and he
Yeah.
can sense that he realizes, okay, this is a moment where it looks like something's about to happen. You can sense that. But he played a little very small moment where he looked over at the door to make sure that I was safe, right?
Yeah.
He's like, oh,
Mm.
my son's inside there, my dad's inside there.
Mhm.
And if I run inside, I'm going to be bringing the danger to them.
Yeah.
So he kind of played a look where, okay, I'll stand here and be the line of defense for whatever this is about to happen.
There was another moment right after that too that I noticed that I don't think I would have caught had I not gone back 3 times to watch your potato sack skills. But then, so I ended up watching this right after too, is that when he gets, or right before it, when he gets stabbed, he also has a couple moments of realization, where it's not just like an, and he just reacts to the pain. There's thought going in there, the pain, but then also like the realization of, oh shit, what's going to happen? What's this guy doing? Is my family safe? Like he has these kind of looks and he makes like little breathy sounds. And that's, obviously I don't think that's going to be on the page. It might be, there might be some kind of direction that helps him in that way. But those are acting choices where he's not just reacting to a stabbing. The stabbing is almost secondary to the other things that are going on in his mind, the ramifications of this, or what this means, or what might happen, or what's going. There's this shock and this fear and this concern of what's to happen next, or why this is happening. Speaking of why this is happening, Melissa.
By the way, just really quick,
well,
they come back.
I wanted to
points too.
Well, I was just going to say we got to jump to our break real quick, but
he leads it up in the cut points. So when he does that, he knows that they're about to cut the end of the scene and they're going to go to commercial or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So he's leaving you hanging.
Sorry, I shouldn't have brought up something that was so juicy right before our break.
Sorry,
we'll get more of this, Melissa, as well. Melissa. We'll be right back on. Stick around, everybody. The 7th rule. It's going to be such a fast break. Well, hi, everybody. Welcome back to the 7th rule. Can you believe it? It's with Cirroc Lofton, as always.
Hello.
Malissa Longo is here. We're doing Deep Space Nine, Season 7, Episode 1, Image in the Sand. By the way, my name is Ryan T. Husk. No, I did mention that at the top. No need to say it twice. I'm not in New York. I don't need to say it twice. Very quickly, here are the NAMs. Not the NAMs, I'm sorry. It's been a while. We've been doing seasonal reviews. These are the trivioids that may or may not have made the cutting room floor. Here they come. Odo calls Kira Colonel, which is fun. Worf does not want to waste away. Worf does not want to waste away protecting a shipment of stem bolts. I don't know if you guys heard that. Captain Sisko has been at that piano since 7 o'clock this morning. Sisko has to find a lady he saw in a vision. Wayun says the enemy remains bottled up in the Chintaka system. Damar wonders what goes on inside that wormhole. Senator Kretak finds the chairs on Deep Space Nine to be very uncomfortable. Joseph Sisko is taking his gumbo recipe to his grave. Senator Kretak is curious about Jumja sticks. Romulan Osol twists are very tart, and Jake Sisko shows off his potato sack fighting skills. There's a lot in there. So sorry, Melissa, we jumped up on you there. What else did you have for us?
No, I was just going to add on to what you guys were saying about his choices and the thing that I noticed probably the most in this episode was Avery's subtext. He's always got something going on in his brain, and I was like, subtext, and that's what makes actors interesting, when you know that they're thinking about stuff, and because you can see it. You can see it in their face. They don't have to project it. They don't have to act like something is happening. You can see it, and he does it beautifully. There's many moments in this episode where he did that beautifully, and I noticed one moment from the scene that you guys were just talking about, right when the Bajoran cult guy comes up to him, and you can see the shift when he realizes this guy is bad news.
Yeah,
because there's a relaxed nature about him to begin with, but then he was like, oh, and it was all in a sequence of a few seconds, but it was so full and rich, and it was like, yeah, that's what I like to see when I'm watching a show, is all of that. And then when Joseph gives Ben the locket, and there's ancient Bajoran on it. And again, so many things are going through his head and you can see it. And he doesn't have to project it because it's all just there. He's, as actors say, in the moment. And there's a reason people say you're in the moment, because you're living this scene truthfully. So, and he does that beautifully.
You know who else has visited Joseph's Creole Kitchen, as we've mentioned before, is the fella on Melissa Longo's shirt right now. She's wearing a Captain Nog Forever shirt from The Visitor, from that fateful episode and those scenes. And he was in this episode too, not visiting on Earth, where we love to see him, but on the Defiance Bridge, where we also have come to love to see him. And it was a really fun sequence of events because, of course, like I mentioned just a bit ago, Worf mentioned stem bolts, which was a nice little wink. They love to give us a little wink. Like, did you catch
Landau.
that? Yes. Les Landau directed too, you're right. Yeah. And what was it? There was something that Worf was saying in there. I mean, Worf had so many funny moments because the reason
Worf said you joined Starfleet to be safe. You know, I think Nog was talking about feeling safe, right? Mm-hmm. And I like that exchange between them.
Yeah, they always have so many good, funny moments that are just like a non-Star Trek fan watching would be like, "Why are you laughing? What's so funny?" But it's so well written and so subtle and so tongue in cheek. A lot of these things. You were going to say something, Lisa? Yeah.
And sweet because. But again, it demonstrates relationship, and that these people are living with each other day in and day out. And so, Worf is grieving, and he's going to snap at Nog, for because nobody's safe. There's no safety in life, and. You can understand where Nog's coming from because, who wants to die? It's, but
Orf.
so, well,
kind of, yeah.
Kind of.
Klingons are the only ones with death wishes, but other than that,
but you can get where both of them are coming from and why each one has said that, and it's an honest reaction between people who live with each other and interact with each other on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. The other funny moment that I just remembered when I was doing the Trivioids was at the very beginning when Odo calls Kira Colonel, and then she's like, "Oh, don't call me that, just call me whatever, And then Odo later on mentions, "Oh, I hear you're going to have a meeting with Admiral Ross. Or should I say Bill?" I was like, wow, look at Odo. Look at this guy showing off his own comedy.
Oh, that was so cute.
Yeah.
I also like the moment in the beginning where Odo was like, "That was the kiss that changed my life." Mm-hmm. And I thought it was kind of a nice thing to say when he was having that exchange with her. Another moment.
He knows what to say. He knows what he's doing.
I like the baseball thing too, by the way. They brought the baseball over. Sisko takes the baseball. It's in the restaurant now. They used it to transition to the prophet scene that you have in the graphic behind you, Ryan. Mm-hmm. And that baseball they used is basically the transition, the piece that focuses attention to allow him to kind of have that prophet experience. So I thought that was a nice little tie-in, just a consistent theme of the baseball throughout the series.
Well, and Kira is playing with the empty baseball holder, indicating that the weight of Sisko's loss of being there to run the station. Mm-hmm. She's feeling that weight immensely.
Mm-hmm. The fact that he's missing there. The missing baseball is symbolic to the missing captain and friend. The baseball is always just The best. That's why in our seventh rule Discord, my reaction is always the baseball reaction. When somebody says something I like, you do a little reaction with a baseball. You can do a thumbs up or a happy face or whatever. You can also do sports things or kitchen knives or whatever. My reaction is a baseball. And everybody's like, what? You guys have a Discord? Yeah, check us out on patreon.com/the7th-rule. And for pennies a day, you too can join the 7th Rule Patreon. But don't do it just yet. Wait till the end of this episode. Anyway.
I also like the scene with Joseph Sisko and Benjamin where he, you can see that this means a lot to Benjamin Sisko. So he needs to know who this woman is. And when the connection is there between his father and this woman and how he gets really upset and kind of grabs him by the chest, by the shirt and almost loses it at that moment. That was kind of intense for me, because I thought Avery took it to that level where it's like, oh, he might just do this. It's pretty amazing.
And and I don't want to talk. I want to talk about the Creole kitchen for the entire episode, but I don't know if people want to hear that. But I do want to bring up one more thing, and then I swear that I know there was other stuff, but one more thing of taking it to that level was when what was it that Sisko,
I guess?
Yeah, Sisko starts to say something, and Jake finishes his sentence kind of like, "Oh yeah, I know what you're going to say."
Oh, yeah.
And he chases you off and snaps you with a towel, and like he hits you with a towel. And I'm like, I freaking love it. I love the choices that Avery Brooks makes for us to feel like this isn't a TV. I'm not watching a TV dad and son. I'm watching a dad and son being real and doing whatever isms are, inherent within their relationship. And their relationship is very loving, but also very playful because he jostles you a lot. Sometimes he's given you a punch before. One time he mocked you when you said, okay, and you went, okay, or whatever, like a couple seasons ago. It's very playful, and it makes it feel so real, like we understand what their relationship is like, and I love that moment. Yeah.
Well, and another moment I have to bring up is the kiss on the cheek.
Yes.
Sisko's kiss on Jake's cheek was I was just like, it's so cute. Because it's so cute and it felt so right for the moment. And it was beautiful and natural and honest. And this is their relationship. Yeah.
Cirroc, do you remember the towel spank, the towel swipe? Did they tell you that, or did Avery say, I'm going to hit you with a towel, or did you just not say anything and you just kind of played it by ear?
Avery just plays it by ear. So we just play it in the moment. We're not like, we're not rehearsing any little things like that. That's just what it feels like in the moment. And I don't know, when you mentioned that, I remember running away from him as I did that. I don't know if you paid attention, but it was a moment it was like you knew something's coming. It's like when you're dragged. So it was kind of like I knew it was about to come, so I had to get out of there really quickly. He chased me to get, you better hurry up because I'm coming. I was coming. And I think that's another kind of, that's it's special. And those are real moments. That's just the two of us kind of creating on the fly and feeling so comfortable with each other that doesn't matter what we do, we know it's going to be right because it's going to be what we would naturally do. So
love it. That's so cool. Okay.
And can I mention that Aron also mentioned this is one of the reasons why he loved working with Avery so much, because in The Heart of Stone, they would go over the scene a couple of times before they actually shot it, and Avery had never grabbed Aron in all of the rehearsals, but during the actual scene, when he's like, "Why do you want to join Starfleet?" and when Avery grabbed Aron was like, "Whoa, whoa!" It was
just remember your lines. Just remember your lines. Because that's what I was thinking is remember my lines. I don't mess this up. This is good.
He said, "This is great. This is what this is all about. You play off of each other in the moment, in that reaction. So it's nice to see that Avery is consistent in the way he works that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of? Oh, sorry, Cirroc, were you going to jump in on that?
I was going to jump in on it. Yeah, that's how he works, and I'm glad you said that, Melissa, and Aaron took notice of that too, because that's how he works. It's alive, it's organic, it's in the moment,
it's real.
And his favorite thing to say was no acting on the set, and he just didn't want you acting. Just show up and be yourself and do you, but don't act. But lastly, before you bring up whatever you want to bring up, Ryan, I wanted to say that I had the idea because it felt like this was Sisko versus Sisko, right? It was
versus Sisko.
Right? But I felt like it was Captain Sisko versus his dad, Joseph Sisko. And so I made up a little movie poster, those boxing old school posters. And I drew one up while I was watching.
Oh my goodness. What? You've been burying the lead.
It's very tiny, very tiny, very tiny, very tiny. But do you see it right there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sisko versus Sisko.
And we know which one's
Gumbo
which
in the jungle. Oh my gosh.
I call it Gumbo in the jungle.
It's amazing.
Gumbo rumble. And you can tell which one is Captain Sisko because he's got like the little badge on his chest. For everybody just listening in, it's kind of like one of those boxing posters, where it's like face to face. It's like the profile shot of them face to face. Oh, that was
actually, it also could be rumble in the gumbo.
Yep.
Rumble in the gumbo. Sounds messy.
Yeah.
Sounds like a college thing, right? They're like
rumble in the gumbo.
Yeah.
Rumble in the gumbo.
Yeah. They like to think weird things like that. So what did you guys think of Senator Kretak, the Romulan senator? She seemed very familiar to me. She felt like a character that I've seen in like sitcoms or something, because she has this genuine nice appeal to her and very calm and soothing and friendly. And I felt like that's the kind of person you get in like a sitcom sometimes, like somebody's mom that's like says, oh, come sit down next to me and talk to me, but then also gives you like a little razz or something like that. But I don't know. I guess I should have looked her up. What do you guys think of her?
I thought she was great, personally. I thought she was very effective as at breaking Kira's guard down for a little bit in her openness for a Romulan, and then only to learn that Romulans are always treacherous. Even if they're nice.
We'll see, but it's not looking good.
Well, yeah.
I don't trust her, and I knew that all that nice stuff was just fake. I prefer that the Romulans, when they're just straight up jerks about it in the beginning, that way you know what you're dealing with.
Yeah. So,
right.
You're like, stop being so nice.
Yeah.
It's unsettling.
Yeah,
what's your game? Just say what you want.
Well, and she's so good at it that you kind of you want to believe her. I wanted to believe her, but then it was like, okay, so now there's weapons and you're not helping Vulcans, and what's going on here? Why are you being this way?
Yeah.
She did the whole thing very well, and she played off of Kira very well.
I thought her acting was excellent for that role, because she was immediately disarming, and obviously a lot of that is the writing, and a lot of that is Kira is basically telling us how to feel. Right at the beginning of the episode, she's being our voice of, we don't trust Romulans, and then it's kind of like, well, not so bad for a Romulan though, and then she starts to warm up, and so she's not just mirroring our feelings, but almost kind of like leading us,
yeah.
who would be natural skeptics through this thing. So a lot of that is her doing, is how well she's portraying that as well. But I thought this lady did a great job. I'm doing a quick look at her right now. She also played a character in Star Trek The Next Generation, The Outcast. The character's name was Noor. Noor, just like our buddy,
like
Dr.
Mohamed
Mohamed Noor.
Yeah.
And she did play a few sitcoms. Looks like she was in 2 episodes of Seinfeld as Peggy. But I don't remember that character. Also, Men.
Did you notice the Nam in this episode?
Did I notice what?
There was a lot of Nams.
Oh, there were a lot of Nams. Yeah, but let's save
Nams.
those for the free-for-all, because there are some fun ones in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a ton of roles for this lady. Anyway,
she's
the other thing
great,
that
though.
she was fantastic. I thought she was great because she was coy, and she did play the whole like warming up and hey, no, I'm not here for that. It's just the kids in the hospital.
Oh, I'm sure Romulans.
Yeah.
We're known as arrogant, and I'm sure we've earned that. And you're like, well, that's very big of her to admit that.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
but then it was the Jumja stick that really disarmed Kira, I think, because Romulans don't venture outside their comfort zone. So she's trying a Jumja stick.
Yeah.
This is a sweet treat, and the senator probably knew that Kira knows that too.
Yeah, and it's a Bajoran treat, so it's her kind of, extending the olive branch of saying, "Oh, look, I'm trying out your thing that you like, and then you can try out the thing from my culture and all that."
Yeah,
it's very symbolic there.
Except they should have showed her spitting it out into a little napkin.
Yeah, afterwards. Be like, this better be worth it.
The jig would have been up then.
Yeah, Nog pops in. You gonna finish that?
Yeah. The other thing that I thought was pretty. I like the whole Wei-Yun and Damar scene.
Oh yes, yes.
The Kanar and the Damar.
Yeah.
I thought that was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There were
Wei-Yun says to him, "Too much imagination can be dangerous," or something to that effect.
Yeah, there was a really good moment too that I laughed at. There was a lot of comedy in this. That's what's so cool about this, about Star Trek, is it could be a tense episode or a sad episode or whatever, yet there's comedy in it, even though none of the characters are laughing. They're not giving you any cues. Hey, this is a comedic line. Like when he says, when Wei-Yun always looks at Damar with like disgust and contempt, and he's like, when you're alone, do you pour your Kanar into a glass, or do you just drink it straight out of the bottle? And Damar, swill, correct. He says swill. Damar, totally unfazed. He doesn't take offense and be like, hey, he goes, depends on my mood. Yes, that's Damar right there. Depends on my mood. Yeah. Hell yes. You're right. He did say swill. Yeah.
I loved that word, the way he used that word. And I was like, yes, swill.
Yeah, I heard Damar just wants a bottle and a snorkel. He just dives in. Maybe that's not physically possible.
I want to say that I really like the song that Vic Fontaine sang in this episode. I think it was called All the Way.
Yeah.
But it kind of just, I was sitting there feeling like Worf, like trying to apply the lyrics of the song to the emotion of losing Dax and whatnot. So as I was watching it, I was applying those lyrics to that emotional feeling. And I thought it was very elegant, and it was a beautiful moment. It's kind of longer song sequence than you normally get, but I enjoyed every moment.
And that's probably why, is because a lot of times when they play a song, it's just to fill the mood or to make a point or whatever. But there was more to it than that. They wanted you to hear the lyrics. They wanted that to sink in. They wanted that to be part of the scene, not just filling out the scene.
Right.
Well, because he's going through those moments of when Jadzia loved him.
Yeah. Also, we only have a couple minutes left before we hit that there free for all, but I thought it was really cool, even though I was expecting Esri to show up at the end there. I remember that she shows up at the end of the episode. I had forgotten how magical that moment is. She looks so cute and so beautiful, and the lighting on her and her eyes are sparkling and the look on her face. And I was like, wow, what a beautiful moment. I don't remember it being like, I remembered it, in the back of my mind, like when Worf shows up and they're like, what better way to handle Klingons than with Klingons? And he shows up and you're like, oh, cool, awesome. But this wasn't that. It was like this touching beauty. There was so much emotion and so much storyline behind that scene. And I thought it was delivered perfectly by Les Landau.
Well, yeah, no, I took note of it too. And it was kind of like sunshine coming in from this darkness. She was this, bright energy that came to illuminate Sisko's darkness.
Right,
and
good point.
It was so beautiful, and I hadn't taken note of it before either. But I was like, wow, that was perfect. What a perfect time for her to come in, and a perfect way for her to come in.
Yeah, it was a very special one. I too noticed the shot, and I thought she looked beautiful in it. Nicole was, just glowing in that moment. And I thought to myself one thing. I thought it was interesting that she shows up in Starfleet uniform to the Creole kitchen. I think it would be. I thought it was awkward a little bit to me that she shows up reporting for duty.
Well, we'll see if she's reporting for duty or if she's just on a personal mission. We'll see.
Right. But I did think she was awesome. Just amazing. And it did contrast the moment of Sisko kind of going through this dark place, like Melissa was saying. That contrast was just this moment of realization where there was hope. And I think that's what she represents in this closing moment of this episode, is kind of hope for a future and a brighter, better days ahead.
Yeah, and I mentioned the lighting too, because I think I just remember her, like the lighting on her was just perfect and bright, and like you guys are saying, like he's been in darkness, but also kind of indoors, and all the outdoor scenes are at night, and everything's kind of darker and darker, and there's like this full contrast and a change of mood. Really cool. Really loved it, and I was not expecting it, and I was like, wow, that hit very well. Speaking of hitting well, the best baseball player of the 1920s, we'd like to give a special thanks to Homer Frizzell. Aaron used to say it sounded like a baseball name, and it's right.
Yeah, he did.
Special thanks to Homer Frizzell, Dr. Marie Segal, Eve England out in Wales, Yvette Blackmon, Carmen, a.k.a. Skillet. Timothy Baum.
That's what I would have hit her with.
With a skillet, with a Carmen.
There you go.
Speak sizzling then.
Tim Baum, aka Grandpa One. TJ Jackson-Bey out in Missouri. Bill Victor Arucan. There it is. Titus Mohler, Darlena Marie, John Mann, Dr. Mohamed Noor, Anna Post, Tierney C. Dieckmann, Rex A. Wood, Anil O. Palat, Erica Strom, Joe Balsarati, Mike Gu, Stephanie Baker, DQ, Neil Akasaka, and Justine Norton Kurtzen. Also, very, very special thanks to everybody knows her and loves her, Dr. Susan V. Gruner. All right, everybody, stick around. It's time for the free-for-all. And we'll jump on that right now, and we'll see you on the other side on the 7th.
About these names.
Yeah.
So much more to talk about. See you then.
What's up, everybody? Season 7, Episode 1, Free for All. We're in the house. We're going to talk a little bit about it. And joining us today, is Mr. Homer Wagnus Frizzell. Also got TJ Jackson-Bey, Missouri. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for the great sound engineer, Gold to Scott Jensen. And he'll always be a winner to us, Mr. Grandpa Juan.
Yeah.
He's
like, whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, don't bring it up.
It's okay. It's okay.
Also, joining us today is Stephanie Baker, coming out of Seattle.
Nice.
Cool shirt, Stephanie. Yeah, what is that?
I'm a powwow. The Seattle powwow.
Oh, that's cool.
Very cool.
I try to go every year.
Sweet, sweet. And of course, the always lovely Eve England out in Wales. Rocking the Sisko kid shirt. Beautiful colors, like the green.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Goo, where you at? There he is.
Awesome. Hello.
Representing in the house. Tierney C. Dieckmann, the board queen. The little light fixture that's kind of looks new in the background there, a little blue light. I don't know what that is, but
No, it's reflective. It needs to come off the wall. It's bad.
okay.
It shows up all the time, and I can't angle things.
Just asking. And we've got Dr. Sue Gruner, the bug lady herself, the lovely. Anil, pull out. Shaquille, Anil.
Homer's face.
Homer loves it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the very gracious Malissa Longo.
Hi.
With her Captain Nog Forever representation on the house. Got a nice shirt.
And I have a button.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a 7th rule button?
Yeah.
Nice. And of course, I'm Cirroc Lofton and our host, Ryan T. Husk.
Wow, that was fun. Do we get TJ Jackson-Bey out in Missouri too?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just making sure. All right. And were you making a Honus Wagner joke, Cirroc?
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I thought I'd throw it in there. You know,
If only we had that card.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, that's
Just a Honus Wagner and
The most
Willie Mays
valuable
and a buck.
baseball card on the planet, I believe.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Hmm.
All right. So everybody,
Willie Mays.
we saved you guys some treats. So you're going to be very pleased to know that we have not gone over yet the non-appearance mentions of the day. So get those ready. But also, Jake Sisko guesses the IMDb score.
Man.
Oh.
Stu is like, I hate this almost as much as the Bug Lady. And do you like the Bug Lady nickname, by the way?
I'm so used to it. Literally, everybody calls me that.
Nice. Okay. What do you think, Cirroc?
I like this episode. I think it was, I'm going to say it was an 8.
You know, I would have guessed that too. And I just checked. It's a 7.6. What?
I know.
These guys just don't know a good episode if one hit them with a sack of
Lodging
potatoes.
a formal complaint. I am like
7.6.
So did you guys catch the NAMs? I caught three NAMs. And Cirroc, you were going to bring them up. Did you catch them all?
No, I didn't catch them all. I'd like to know the 3.
4.
I only caught
Pokemon.
1.
Ooh, so I missed one too. Who wants to give them? Maybe Homer?
Melissa should give the names.
So there was obviously Jadzia,
Oh yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Oops.
You're right.
Barkley, Jordy, and Alexander.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, and Ducat as well. So there's 5.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
very nice.
Wayun said Ducat.
Yeah.
By the way, Eve, I saw something that you tweeted out. I don't remember what it was in reference to or replying, but you basically said something to the effect of the only reason you watch Star Trek begins and ends with Gul Dukat. What was the tweet you made? It was like yesterday.
Yeah, it was the 3 words that you associate with Star Trek. And I just split it into, I know it's not technically 3 words, but you know.
Awesome.
Everyone else is putting really sensible things like, lovey-dovey things like, inspirate. I thought, no, this is just way too sensible.
Yeah, overthinking it. Yeah.
Does Sisko's real mom also count as a NAM?
Yeah, I was going to say she's mentioned, but
but she's never appeared
her.
before. So.
We see her in a
We see her
picture,
face.
and we see her face like behind. Well,
Oh,
we
yeah.
all know who the judge is. Homer is the judge of these things because he's the sternest of us all.
yeah.
No one pays attention to my opinion on NAMs.
We will starting now, hopefully.
It's starting
There's a
now.
loose NAMs. No, that is not a NAM. She's in it.
I agree.
But what about Sisko's other mom? Because she was mentioned too.
Okay.
Never
that's
seen
what I
her
thought you
before.
meant.
Yeah.
The mother that we never knew about. Not the one,
Exactly.
the Bajoran one, the other one.
Yeah.
I say
Wait,
no.
then Jadzia is not a NAM because we saw a picture of her with Worf.
Now we're getting into it.
True.
Tim,
This is
right now,
technicalities.
Tim is looking for the door right now. He's like, what have I done?
She's also
On
in
the
the
NAMs again.
previously on Deep Space Nine, and so is Ducat.
Mhm.
Okay, TJ.
I think Jadzia is a NAM
Just
is
saying.
okay.
Just thought it was cool that they mentioned Geordi because I never heard them
Yeah.
mention Geordi before. So they kind of
Yeah, that was nice.
giving you
And Barkley.
a little
Barkley.
next generation tie-in.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay. So with those being said, and those are fun as hell. Mike Goo, have you seen this episode recently? And if so, what did you think of it?
I have. So I watched it last night.
Nice.
In preparation for this, and I loved it. I mean, this is we're getting back into another season, of high action. Almost every episode is kind of progressing the arc, and my favorite was probably the 3-generation Sisko thing, and that kind of A storyline and the washing of the clams and all of that. But I loved everything else as well. And was a little confused when Bashir and
O'Brien.
Well, no, yeah. So Julian and Miles were like drinking, and they were talking to Quark, and Quark was like, "Why don't you buy him a gift card or something?" And he like uses his drink, and he just like goes away. I don't know why he like got a drink and then left. I'm not sure if there was a medical emergency or something.
Okay, that's a solid nitpick, you guys.
I didn't notice that part.
Yeah, I didn't either.
His beeper went off. He had to get out of there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Interesting. Okay. Well, TJ Jackson-Bey out in Missouri, your thoughts?
Oh man, I love this episode, and I watched it again yesterday, and I felt different than it ever did before. For a lot of reasons. Definitely, seeing the 3 generations of Sisko there together was good. And as a matter of fact, I want to give a shout out to George Fisher, also known as Brock Peters. He was born George Fisher.
Really?
What a privilege to have him on the show. I love him as Joseph Sisko. He had such an amazing career. he voiced Darth Vader in the Star Wars radio series. I didn't know that before.
Really?
Wow.
And of course, he was in To Kill a Mockingbird with Gregory Peck, who is the Ethan Peck, now plays Strange New Worlds. But just what a privilege to see him act. I was watching, the scene where he and Benjamin are, fussing over Sarah, and just watching his facial expressions and his movements, like what an ace actor to bring to the game to play this major role in the show. So just wanted to stop and give him a shout out for a minute. I also want to give a shout out to Cirroc for taking out the crazy guy with the knife. And I'm going to ask you, Cirroc, how hard did Avery pop you with that towel?
Yes.
You saw how fast I was running away from him. That's how hard.
That hurt.
Yeah. So you got to get in front of it.
How many takes did you have to do for that? I want to know.
Yeah, that I don't remember. That part I don't remember, but I do remember that I had to get away from that hit because it was coming at the end.
Love it. Love it. Eve England, your thoughts? Really cool shirt from Abyssinian Kiosk, everybody. That's abyssiniankiosk.com. That's Cirroc's sister. I've never seen that color yet. Was that custom made for you?
No, I actually got James the hoodie in this last year, and I've always fancied it, so I thought, I'll treat myself. So I actually got the mug as well, so this is quite
nice.
Cool.
Oh, nice.
That's really cool.
That's very cool. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought. Yeah, I hadn't really remembered much about this episode, and I think what I really liked about it is that it's really quiet pace for a first episode, and what I like about how they did that is, even though you've got this quiet pace throughout, generally it's quite deceptive because you've got lots of different threads going through it. You've got that's obviously setting up loads of different stories for us. We've got I think we have 4 different storylines. So we've got Wayoon, and we've got Damar. We then got the stuff on the station. We've got the stuff with Jadzia going to Stovercore, and then we've got the Benjamin storyline. And I just thought it's just so tense. And then I was actually really shocked when Sisko was attacked by that Bajoran. That I'd completely forgotten about that. I just found that quite traumatic because everything else is quite calm. And then you have this extreme violent scene, which just was, it just shocked me when I saw that. And I surprised myself. I obviously forgotten completely. So I just love how they built the tension in this episode. And then the other thing I just realized, I just love Kira's new hair. That was just... I don't think I've noticed it great before. I've got a bigger TV now and it's better quality, and I don't think I'd noticed it before, and I thought that was really cool.
Mm-hmm. That's something we didn't mention was Kira's new look.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, loved it. Very Colonel-esque. Speaking of Colonel, Dr. Susan B. Gruner, how are you today?
Great.
How do you feel about this episode? Were you shocked by the towel spanking or the stabbing?
I think we've talked about it before, but I watched it yesterday, as a lot of us did, and who gets no love is Ezri. I decided that I really like her.
Yep.
Yeah, she's awesome.
So innocent. She's so. I like her. And for all of the reasons that everybody has mentioned already, I agree with all of that. I'm not so sure. My nitpick is going to be really strange. I think those are quahogs that he was cleaning. And quahogs are a kind of clam, but being from New England, a quahog is a much harder thing, and I'm trying to figure out how they would have quahogs in Louisiana. because I think it's only a New England thing.
That's a legitimate nitpick right there.
But I'm not sure because a clam has a softer shell than a quahog. Okay, I'll shut up now.
As everybody knows, right? Everybody knows that.
That is
wow,
solid.
That is, yeah.
Dr. Sue V. Gruner, the mollusk lady, huh?
I want a paging Dr. Marie Segal for those Esri comments.
Does she like Esri, or are you guys still having it out?
Esri.
Okay.
So much.
Yeah.
Because TJ, you reacted when she mentioned Esri just now too, right?
A lot of people hated her, and look, she was stuck in unexpectedly at the end of the. There's just a million reasons to like her.
Absolutely.
I think the reason people didn't like her at first, and myself included, was because we're like, "Hey, you're not Jadzia. That's really that's all it is. It's just you're not Jadzia. Who is this?" Yeah. Watching her today again. We kind of talked about it for a minute. She just lights up a room, and she's so good. She's beaming.
Adorable.
Beautiful. Like a really good scene introducing her, and she just eats up the scenery, chews it up.
Effervescent.
Speaking of bubbly and bubbles, Grandpa One is here, everybody. Finally, Grandpa One has returned with the bubbles. Yay. How are you?
Where is he? Oh, there he is. Okay.
Yeah, I guess okay.
Everybody at
get
home.
the bubbles reference.
Because people, you like to drink effervescent things, right?
Sure, yeah.
Well, that's he's like, what's your point? Let me just talk about Deep Space Nine. Everybody at home, his favorite team lost, so go easy on him because he is a very, very true and loyal super fan. So he, as anybody would know, true hardcore loyal fans take it pretty hard when our team loses. But Cirroc knows, I'm sure TJ knows. But Grandpa One, aka Tim Baum, if you've seen this episode recently, what'd you think about it?
Yeah, actually, I watched it a couple hours ago. I can well, first of all, Sue, they transported them from the East Coast.
Oh yeah, duh.
Directly out of the ocean.
No more nuts. That's great.
I can understand why the IMDb score was a little low because it really is not a standalone episode. It just kind of ends. But I think it's one of the most important episodes because it sets out to finish the story arc of how he became the emissary. From the very first episode, he was like, boom, you're the emissary. How'd that happen? Well, now we find out that it was preordained from when he was born. And so I thought it was very important. And also, like somebody else mentioned, I love the 3-generation interaction, which was great. But yeah, for that reason, I really did enjoy it because it does start to bring everything together to find out how everything happened. And I love Esri. I remember, I think I mentioned before when the show first aired, I would hit and miss episodes. And I remember coming in the middle of the 7th episode and going, what the hell happened to Jadzia and who is this? But no, I ended up, after I watched it all the way through, it's like the transition I thought was done wonderfully to bring in a new character. And like I said, it's with the episode coming right up next, it helps explain the whole emissary story arc, and we end up the beginning of the end where he's transitioning. So
yeah.
And before I go, I just want to mention Liverpool had 4 competitions this year. We won 2, came in second in the other 2. So overall, it was a pretty good year.
Not so bad. Nice. Silver lining. And Eve,
and that's why I switched to Brooks Brothers. So,
Eve, I didn't mean to neglect you. You're also a very big time loyal fan, Eve. You do love your sports, especially when you make cookies in the shape of rugby players.
Big biscuit.
Biscuits. Definitely, yeah.
Stephanie Baker out in Seattle, how are you? Have you seen this episode recently? Do you remember it? How much do you love it?
I saw it last night as a rewatch and to review it. I liked it a lot. I agree how it sets up the rest of the season. So many things are going to launch from it. And I like a lot of the things we all talked about already, but I wanted to shout out the walk and talk with the doctor and O'Brien on the way to Worf's quarters, and how comfortable they are, and how like the doctor is helping O'Brien, like, you know, give him, like, pushing him to go do this work with Worf, and then Worf's face when the door opens. And I think if O'Brien had waited, Worf would have shut the door on him, but O'Brien just went in.
He barged in. And did you notice, we didn't talk about this in the review, but did you notice how when O'Brien's like, oh, you should try some, Worf just it was the funniest thing to me. I don't know why, but Worf just grabs it, guzzles it, like, okay, here you go. See you later. Good night.
That's right.
That line afterwards, he's like, O'Brien was like, you call that a visit? Worf said,
like, yeah, I enjoyed
it.
Good time.
You remember a few episodes ago, Worf and Odo had this conversation about people dropping by quarters, and Worf specifically said O'Brien does it often. Maybe if I'm more rude to him, he'll stop.
Yes, right. That's right. That's why he was going into the Defiant or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But he called the blood wine smooth, very smooth. Thank you, Chief. Good night. Anyway, well, thanks, Stephanie Baker out in Seattle. That's something we hadn't covered, but it was really good stuff, and it deserved to be mentioned. Tierney C. Dieckmann out in, I don't know, somewhere in the north.
De Havel somewhere.
Have you enjoyed this episode? Was it a good one for you?
It is a good one. Pardon my dog. They're very dogs tonight. I don't know. We had solicitors. It's warm out, and he's just losing his mind. So, I watched this a couple of times. That was the dog. That yawning noise. I needed to get a good gauge on it. I like to get my notes, and I found I was going back and forth on a lot of this, and then I was thinking, you know, we're so used to owning these episodes or binging them, and we've lost that anticipation of, you know, this. I didn't look at the air dates, but however long there was between the wormhole closing, losing Jadzia, him leaving the station, just everything that happened in Tears of the Prophets, and then that weight that everybody had to come into this. They set up the season, and in my opinion, played this off very well. As Yvette put it, I think a quiet start for this, and you'd have 4 different storylines going, and they meshed everything quite well for that introduction. I mean, they bring in one very important thing that they had hinted at, I mean, pretty heavily hinted at, but didn't really round out, which is the dangers of religion. You know, obviously the Bajoran religion is extremely important to them, important to the plot, important to everything. But this brings in the dark side to it. And I won't go deep into it, but just, it's kind of nice to see that finally the realities of what zealotry can do being brought into this. So between that and seeing where everyone's growing, Sisko isn't sitting there, he's still depressed as hell, you know. So great piano skills with Round Midnight going on there. And yeah, like Yvette said, that shocking just stab the first time I re-watched through this as an older human. It hits you really hard, like, what are they going to do? This is the first episode. Are they going to take him out for this? Are they going to do the coma thing? What are we going to have here? Worf as a Klingon, showing more his other sides of, yes, he's a Klingon, but he's not your ordinary Klingon. He, as Bashir said, they usually get over death sooner, and he's just having a hell of a time with it. Everything within it sets it up very nicely. And then of course we get Ezri, and I adore Deborah. She's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
You can't not love her. I can see why fans would be like, where the hell is Jadzia? Every time one of your characters in a favorite show is replaced with a different actor, especially if it's supposed to be the exact same character and they just change actors from one season to the next. But they changed Jadzia from very confident, very sure of herself. I mean, they base episodes around when she's not sure of herself. It's that big of a change for her. And in comes Ezri, like, what the hell am I doing? It's very relatable. She's perfect. So it's hard to see this as just its own singular thing without moving on to what happens in the rest of the season. But it's done beautifully, and there's a lot more to go on once it keeps going. But good setup for everything, and everybody kills it. And one last thing, the best thing with it is got to be the Sisko family interaction.
Yeah,
it's so lovable. And is Cirroc, I don't know, do you remember, is that laughter added on? Is that real?
No, that was there. I remember that laughter.
The laughter is great. It's fantastic. I love that.
That laughter.
It's a good one.
Yeah, good stuff. And actually, I feel like it seems like it's the consensus. Everybody's like, man, the Sisko family, that's what I'm here for.
It's the family that we all want.
Except, sadly, Homer Frizzell. How did you feel about? For some reason, he's not. You know, I know he's.
Aww.
Yeah. So I enjoy the Sisko family.
Oh yeah.
Just so you know. Yeah, I'd like to cook with them, to be honest. And I would, yeah, I'd wash the cohogs. So this episode, I enjoyed it a lot. It's one of those ones where it just zips along. You know, it's in between. So at the beginning, Majel Barrett is saying continuation.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, we know this is the middle of the sandwich. And they did a really good job at juggling the different plots, different stories that they had. And we had the color commentary on Cardassia, and they were good enough to show us the buildings of Cardassia. So we knew, okay, we're going to Cardassia now.
Don't you love those exterior shots with like the hooks on the top of the buildings?
I love, yeah.
So
it's like,
good.
oh, hook buildings. That's Cardassia. Yeah, I think a lot has been covered. So I'm just going to pick a moment that we haven't talked about, and that's some of what maybe we didn't see but comes through here, and that's Worf on the holodeck with Vic and that song, and kind of it being a bit reminiscent of Casablanca, you know. So I like that, and it was interesting, and it gives you also an idea that Worf doesn't really have any close friends. He doesn't have, certainly not a Counselor Troy that he can talk to now, and he's trying to deal with this grief in the best way that he can. And of course, then Martok comes along. It's like, you got to fight it out, man. And so that was fun to see.
You know, that was something that we forgot to mention. I thought that was one of the most beautiful scenes, where his old boy Martok shows up and says, "Worf, defend yourself," you know, and he comes in, and everybody's thinking, that's Martok, man, that's our guy.
I need a first mate.
He doesn't need somebody to like hold his hand or say what's wrong, but he needs somebody to like do battle with him and say, you want to come on a mission that'll probably kill you? Well, okay, I'm listening.
Yeah, and we could have seen a scene with O'Brien and Bashir and Martok, but we knew
I
it
would
was
have
going
loved to have
happen.
seen that scene to see them
But
kind of
yeah,
invite him into that plan.
yeah, I don't think it was necessary, but it would have been an interesting thing to see.
Yeah.
We needed them the DVD extras.
That's right.
Blu-ray. It's Blu-ray now.
And Grandpa One informs us, everybody, that Nikki DeBoer is a Liverpool fan, by the way. So everybody be sure to know that. However, Real Madrid fan Anil Palat is here as well. Real Madrid, I should say. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Tim, look at how Tim was like, this is not even funny. I don't think it's funny at all. It's got so
Non
serious.
bubbles.
Sorry, Anil. Your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree with what everyone said. They set up so much. And then I can almost hear Ira saying, let's put in Esri right at the end, right? That will just punch everybody like after the calm of Sisko being, stabbed. But one thing I did want to point out, one thing that I like is the sort of weird relationship, like the almost work/older brother relationship that O'Brien and Worf have. Like they kind of butt heads. Like they wouldn't normally be friends, right? There's so many times where they interact and they're kind of like work buddies, and they're just kind of, it's like a very weird but also very realistic relationship. And I feel like Worf respects O'Brien in a weird way. I don't know, those two have a chemistry like an older brother. So I like seeing those two interact, which we don't get a ton of. So
who do you think is the older brother of the two?
I think O'Brien.
Yeah.
I think O'Brien. Yeah. He has a calm to him. Yeah.
You're right. It's kind of like the reason they kind of have that friendship is because Worf was forced to be his friend because they both transferred from the Enterprise. So, but in real life, they probably would have never befriended each other.
Worf delivered his baby.
That's true.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and O'Brien has got a little Klingon in him. Like he seems very like everyday, but yeah,
he does. He's no salt, man.
Him and Odo made the ugliest Klingons of all time. They were horrible. Speaking of which, Goldu Scott would also make a horrible Klingon. He's more of a Cardassian. He's a Cardi.
Yeah, maybe.
How are you? What do you think of this
right?
one?
Bloody Cardi.
Yeah.
I did. I liked it. I like it more. Again, I say this in every single episode with every rewatch. I want to echo, of course, everything that everybody says about the Sisko family. I don't know if I have ever seen a family where it was so effortless in sci-fi. It's effort. I know it was obviously there was a lot of effort involved, in the craft entirely, but it comes off like I can't imagine the three of you guys being anybody but those three characters when I'm watching it. And I think that's really, really important. Absolutely love Joseph Sisko. I wanted to scream at the TV for Ben to leave him alone when he's, I made a mistake, but leave him alone. Just forgive him. It's okay. It's okay. And a couple other little things here and there. I feel really, really bad for the poor holographic janitor that has to clean up after Worf. This guy doesn't even know he's a hologram.
The band's gonna quit.
The band's about to quit. That's really bad. If the bass player is about to get out of there, you better look out. Yeah, the bass players. And one last question I kind of had for everybody. They talk about Jadzia getting into Sto-vo-kor. This is assuming that stuff is all very much real, and she would go into Sto-vo-kor. What Jadzia goes up there, because the symbiote is still alive, and the Jadzia that Worf fell in love with is a combination of Jadzia and the symbiote put together. So when Jadzia no longer has a symbiote in her, does her spirit ghost or whatever that moves on to the afterlife, is that like pre-joined Jadzia, or would that still be a person who has the memories of the symbiote, because he fell in love with some aspects she learned while she was, Curzon and Keela and all of them.
Well, then the question is,
who Jadzia Dax was.
If the symbiont leaves the Trill, does the Trill still have those memories? Because I think it would, right?
Yes.
I think they would in a way, like,
so.
because once those memories are shared with her, she can't like forget them or lose them. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
Because she has an independent brain from the
that's a lot to
symbiote.
remember.
It's a lot to remember.
I
It is a lot to
Mike
remember.
too on this one. Mike's comment in the chat is this thought can short circuit your brain.
With Gray in Discovery, didn't they have to do a backwards joining with Gray? So Gray would have to lose all of the memories when he became corporeal again? I feel like that was in there. It was like a backwards joining. I'll have to go look that up, but I love those little semantics and those little brain short circuiting ideas.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you do.
You know, it would be really hard to like be that sad when the host of the Trill dies, because you're still going to be able to see that person eventually through whatever reincarnation. So Worf didn't really lose Jadzia. I mean, the host of the body, but not be able to talk to.
But Cirroc, they were going to have a baby.
No, I know that. I know, but I'm just saying, the loss is less severe if you know that you can still have the conversation with that person. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to have that conversation more in this season, that's for sure. So.
All right. Speaking of this season, this is a big, big season. We have 24 more episodes to go. And as soon as you watch the beginning of this episode, you can already tell it's going to be a two-parter, because they're taking their time with things. They're introducing multiple plot lines rather than just A and B. And I was not in any hurry for it to speed up or for any kind of action. I was very happy with this episode. We're talking about how they should have just done a spin-off with the Siskos at the Creole Kitchen, and we would watch it with Nog, the wacky neighbor that passes by every once in a while, comes in and Joseph puts him to work, It's a good time. Anyway, I think that's about it for us this week. So
I have
everybody,
one more thing.
Oh, hit us, TJ.
One more thing. I just want to share this quote from Joseph Sisko because it's so impactful. When he says, "Life is full of choices. You make them and hope for the best. Sometimes you're right, and sometimes you're not."
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Good one.
And I wanted to say that it kind of sounded weird to hear Major Kira being called Colonel Kira.
It's always weird.
And then what made it even weirder, when I was trying to write Colonel Kira in my notes, I realized that Colonel doesn't have an R in it.
Yeah.
No.
It's an odd word.
Colonel.
This is a very strange word. Where's the origin of this word that has an R but no R in it? I thought it was interesting.
Colonel. Grandpa, can you tell us why it's spelled colonel but pronounced colonel?
It's the Germanic origin of the word. I don't know why we put an R in it, but
lazy Americans.
Colonel.
Eve England out in Wales.
About lieutenant.
The lieutenant drives me crazy.
Lieutenant.
That one seems like that one's definitely a French word, because lieu is instead, or we use that word in lieu of, and tenant is to hold, so kind of like hold the position in lieu of whatever. So it's like a backup person, I would guess, is what that comes from. But Eve, how do you guys pronounce colonel in the UK?
Colonel.
Colonel?
It's not. It hasn't really got the same R in it. Yeah, just Colonel.
Colonel.
I know we're all trying to think.
Googled it.
Yeah.
I Googled the explanation. Would you like to hear it?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay, it came to the English from the mid-16th century French word coronel, meaning commander of a regiment or column of soldiers. By the mid-17th century, the spelling and French pronunciation had changed to colonel. The English spelling also changed, and the pronunciation was shortened to 2 syllables.
Then they should have just called it like conal.
Right?
Instead of like corn, a kernel of corn.
Yeah, right.
Butchered that word.
Oh no. All right.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks for the fun. And everybody at home, please make sure that you, give this video a like, share it with your pals, leave a comment below. Tell us what you think of the Siskos. And would you watch the Sisko family Creole kitchen with Nog popping in and, doing his thing and starting the hijinks? It would be a great time. And Esri shows up every once in a while. Would you watch that? And give us a 5-star review if you like it, or rating, I should say. And if you don't like this, then don't leave us a review. Anyway, thank you to TJ, Stephanie, Melissa, Anil, Sue, Tierney, Eve, Mike, Goldu, Scott. Oh no, Grandpa One, did you change your name to Bubbles One? Honus, Wagner, Frizzell. Thank you all very much for joining us.
Awesome.
And
Brilliant.
Until next time, also leave us a comment if you like Grandpa One better or Bubbles One better. That's a tough one.
Bubbles.
Wait for the ages.
Bubbles.
We'll,
I like bubbles too.
we'll see y'all next time, everybody.
Please
Until
do it. I'm
then,
doing it too.
always remember 7th rule.